In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly how you can unleash a torrent of latent potential energy within you, which you had no idea was there before. Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode. My name's Rick, and in this episode today, I'm going to speak briefly about a thing, a concept, a movement, a principle, a philosophy, a way of life, a thing called Nofap. So Nofap has become a bit of a phenomenon over recent years and has got many different corners and sites and avenues and alleyways scattered across the internet. And maybe you've heard of it before, maybe not, but very, very briefly, what it essentially is a philosophy where you abstain from fapping or ejaculating, essentially. So I'll not go too much into the mechanics or the nuts and bolts because there are different interpretations and variations of Nofap itself. But in essence, what it is semen retention. And it may sound really crazy. You may think, well, why would anybody want to do that? What's the point? Are you trying to become a monk? Are you wanting to deny yourself the joys of life? Well, actually, no, that couldn't be further from the truth. What it actually is all about is about self-improvement and helping you to really embrace and experience the joys of life and everything that it has to offer. So we could spend a lot of time talking about the theory behind it and a lot more of the biology and physiology, but I want to keep it nice and concise today. So there are many, many different reasons why people indulge or follow the path of Nofap and become, as some internet users say, Fapstronauts. It's funny. I think I enjoy that name. Anyway, there are many, 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 many Fapstronauts on the internet, and they're from all different walks of life, men and women, old and young, but they have a common denominator, a common theme for most of them, and that is they have been harmed essentially by the age of online pornography, the digital age of pornography, where almost anything you can imagine is available at any time of the day, in any form, whatever you want, and you can indulge in it for as long as you want. And this is causing a lot of problems. It's basically, well, in essence, desensitizing tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people to real life experiences and sensitizing them to artificial digital simulations, which ultimately elevate their expectations of the real thing or real human encounters, and ultimately are, disillusioned, very, very disappointed with the real thing and find they can't actually enjoy the real thing and lose essentially all motivation to pursue the real thing and meaningful real relationships. So that's basically the main reason why people tend to follow this path of Nofap. And what it does is it facilitates, in men, semen retention. In women, it's basically different, but the benefits are still suggested or still thought to be comparable to that of men. Anyway, I want to talk briefly about the benefits which I have experienced over the last few years of trying this lifestyle, and it's one which is not of linear progress because, well, the goal is in the community online to get to 90 days basically where there's no PMO, which is basically porn, masturbation, and orgasm. So the ultimate goal is to go 90 days where you're completely detoxing from artificial stimulation, with the aim of resetting yourself and rewiring your brain to default factory settings where basically you have a desire for the natural things in life rather than the artificial. So it's taken a long time. Personally, I've never actually got to the 90 days myself. I've got quite close a few times, but there have been some times where you're maybe at an all-time low or you've had a particularly bad day, and then there's a number of different cues which you've experienced throughout the days, and this sets off a chain of cascade of events or a chain reaction of thoughts and patterns in your mind, and then ultimately you find yourself relapsing. It's the same as an alcoholic coming too close to, drink, and or a smoker who's trying to give up smoking and they suddenly see cues everywhere. It's very, very similar to that. So habit and addiction is a whole realm into itself, and I wouldn't be able to give it any justice in this video today. So what I want to focus on is just the benefits of the movement of Nofap, which I have experienced in my own time. So The first one, which I found straight away within the first 3 days, and then it climaxed on the seventh day. Pardon the pun. I'm sorry, that was terrible. I should probably cut that. Anyway, so basically, I found my energy levels rising significantly throughout the first 3 days and all the way up to the seventh day, and that actually correlates with results found in previous studies where testosterone levels have actually been found to rise. Certainly for the first 7 days, they rise significantly. Some studies, I believe, have posted up to 300% increase. Some have said 100% increase. There's been a debate on that, but there is no disagreement at all, or there's no way to argue against the fact that testosterone levels do rise significantly, especially in that first week. And after that first week, they level off and actually decline a bit. But what I found, and what a lot of other people off this path have found, is with this increased energy, they suddenly have found a new vitality for life. And this can be a double-edged sword. So this extra energy, you have to be careful where you direct it. If you harness it and direct it into productive, constructive avenues such as exercise, meditation, some form of physical sport, game, activity, hobby, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Or it doesn't even have to be physical, it can be something mental, it can be learning a new skill, a new craft, a new art, whatever. Whenever you harness this energy and channel it into that avenue, you'll find you'll be able to focus much more on it, because you just find that your concentration has narrowed down and you can almost direct it with pinpoint accuracy. But at the same time, if you come across cues or triggers which may trigger the old habits, the old reward response pathway within your brain, then it's very easy to, well, it can be very easy to actually deviate and revert back to where you were before. So it's very important to be mindful of cues and triggers, because the way habits work is there's 4 parts to it. There's a cue, there's a trigger, there's a response, and then there's a reward. So you want to try and avoid all cues, which will basically, it's cue, it's not trigger, it's craving. Cue, craving, response, and reward. Whenever you see a cue, it'll cause a craving. Whenever you develop a craving, it will basically direct you or result in you making a reward, or it'll trigger a response. Get my letters mixed up. So whenever you see a cue, it'll cause a craving. Whenever you develop a craving, it will cause you to make a response, whether it's a good response, as in abstaining from it, or a bad response, i.e. giving into it. And then after the response, there is the reward. So it's 4 parts. So the main thing is to basically try and minimize your exposure to any cues or triggers which might trigger off the habit. Anyway, so benefits which I found: substantially increased energy. And with that energy, I find myself being more awake in the morning. Beforehand, I could have been quite sluggish in bed. And it's definitely much easier getting up. It's also much easier to motivate yourself to do things as well, because you're not as fatigued. And the reason for this is, if you think about it, whenever you're ejaculating, you're actually you're dissipating energy, because semen contains the energy for life. It creates life along with the egg, obviously. So every time you waste that semen, you're essentially just wasting life force, life energy, which could be otherwise utilized a lot more effectively. I can't remember off the top of my head all of the ingredients, but there's a lot of different vitamins, minerals, and compounds inside semen, including zinc, magnesium, along with a whole host of other things. So it's quite heavy, it's quite dense, it's quite nutrient dense, and it takes a lot of energy to replenish that energy which has been lost. That's why you generally fall asleep after, having a good time. And the more you do this, the more it takes its effect. But whenever you harness this, whenever you retain it, you're able to keep that energy within you, and your body is able to utilize it for more constructive means. It will also boost your immune system as well, because, more energy to support it. It will improve the quality of your skin. It'll be more vibrant. It'll be less dry and blotchy. Also, some people have actually reported claims of improved eyesight and increased clarity and brightness of the eyes. As an optometrist, I'm not entirely convinced by that one. I don't know if there are any physiological changes. I haven't actually found any concrete evidence on that. But what I could testify or attest to that would be, whenever your eyes get dry, such as you spend too much time looking at a computer screen, whenever you spend too long on a computer screen, your blink rate drops. It can be up to 50 or 60% for some people. Whenever your blink rate drops, your tear film over the eyes is not being replenished as often as it normally would. Therefore, it'll deplete, exposing the surface of the eye, ultimately drying the eye out, which can result in duller eyes, red eyes, irritated eyes. Vision can be a bit fuzzy as well because the tear film isn't there to do its job, basically, which is to help optimize quality of the light entering the eye. So I think that would be the explanation for people reporting improved vision and improved appearance of eyes. But it's still a benefit nevertheless, because you're spending less time on the screen, looking at the screen. Anyway, so definitely improved energy, which corresponds to or other subsidiary or secondary benefits, such as improved strength, and that's due to the increased testosterone. So you'll find if you're at the gym, you'll be able to lift more weights, like in terms of a max. If you're going for 1 rep max, you'll be able to lift more. You'll be able to lift more over a longer period of time, i.e. you can do more reps at a higher weight, get more gains. All about the gains, obviously. Otherwise, why are you there? Go heavier to go home. Anyway, so that would be the main benefit, definitely from my experience. Other benefits include less misery. And whenever I say that, I mean less feeling or fewer feelings of poor self-worth, or I should say increased self-worth, an increased sense of self-worth, because it's very, very common for a lot of people who indulge in online pornography to develop negative thought patterns over time. It could be due to the actual content of what they're watching. It could be due to the fact that they feel guilty every time they have a good time, bad time, bittersweet. So it can be an accumulative compounding effect where the more you watch, the more you indulge, the worse you feel, because it's guilt at the very end, and it's like a roller coaster, an emotional roller coaster. But whenever you cut this out, that roller coaster calms down, and you're not experiencing the same level of guilt that you would have previously done so often. And with this, there's another effect in that your confidence will rise. It's not just me who's experienced it. There's tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of other men and women who experience the same thing. So whenever you abstain from online pornography and you harness your energy, or harness your life force essentially through retention, you will experience less mood swings, which will result in an improved sense of self-worth, which again will result in increased confidence in yourself, which will also increase your social skills as well. Whenever you're more confident, you're able to speak to people more eloquently, more confidently. So as you can see, everything is connected, everything is linked, and there are many, many, many compounding effects. Other benefits are, well, I've already mentioned the improved quality of skin and perceived quality or improved quality of eyes, eye color, and vision. You'll also have more time in your hands, more time to do what you want to do, because let's face it, you'll be spending less time on the screen, clicking away, looking to find that ever elusive dopamine mine. So, because that's what it's all about. The whole point of craving is to fulfill your dopamine response. You want to experience that high, and it's actually the anticipation of what it is you're seeking. That is what causes the dopamine rush. And that's what we crave. Whenever you actually experience it, dopamine is released, but not to the same extent as what it was when you were craving it. Anyway, with this extra energy within you, you'll also find that you're more creative. You'll be able to channel this energy into more creative outlets as well. So I suppose that sort of ties on with the first point with the increased energy. But with increased energy, along with all the other social and well-being benefits, you'll have more creative energy to redirect into various outlets, be it writing, be it artwork, be it making YouTube videos, be it writing songs, who knows, whatever it may be. And of course, one of the main final benefits as well, which is probably the main reason why a lot of people actually do it in the first place, is increased libido and increased firmness, basically. So that arises from you resensitizing yourself to natural stimuli rather than relying on artificial stimuli, which is the root cause of a lot of the problems which people currently have today. So that would be one of the most beneficial, or one of the most widely sought after benefits of the whole Nofap movement. And again, there's no linear progress. One person may find themselves reset and regain their natural libido after 5 days. It could be 50 days, it could be 90 days, it could be 100 days. It depends on how long basically they have been exposed to online pornography and how deep the damage is done within the neural pathways of their brain. Anyway, I can personally tell you that there are tremendous benefits to be had from following the Nofap path. There are next to no downsides. In fact, the only two downsides I can think of are potential mood swings occasionally. And that's because whenever you withdraw, it's almost like withdrawal symptoms. Whenever your brain is so used to being accustomed to being exposed to super stimuli, such as online pornography, you get a bit of a hangover coming down of it. Because whenever you stop, all of a sudden your brain's saying, hey, where's all that dopamine going? What's going on? Normally I'm in happy land right now, but I'm not in happy land now, so I'm really sad. Actually, I'm going to make you sad. That way it'll force you to go back to happy land. You'll go back to happy land, so I'm going to make you miserable to make you go back there so I can get more of that dopamine. So that is a possible side effect, mood swings. But they will pass over time, as all things do. The other one would be urges. Because you have all this energy, and like I was mentioning before, your testosterone will be higher, which will come with the downside or the risk that you may relapse due to increased urges. So that's why it's very important to be mindful of urges and triggers and try and minimize your exposure to said triggers. But if you can do that, I genuinely believe that trying this lifestyle or mission or quest, whatever way you want to look at it, will do nothing but good. It'll cost you nothing, and it will only change your lives in more ways than you could ever imagine. So that's all for today, and I hope you gained some degree of value from this very unique topic. And as always, I wish you all the best and take care. Thanks again.